Hey there, folks. I'm Isaac, and I'm experimenting.
And I'm Claire, and I am just a vibe.
And this is Make That Game,
where we pitch the latest,
the greatest
new video game
ideas that
will never be made.
That will never be made. We didn't. We talked about switching up the format, but we didn't talk about switching up that format.
Well, I just figured we're not going to be pitching 2 games today.
We're going to be pitching 4.
Oh, well, if you count the rapid fire games.
I count the rapid fire
Listener,
games.
if you're lost in the sauce, we had a 100th episode last episode.
If you'll remember the 100th episode, we're now in the 101st episode.
Yeah.
And
it's a whole new world.
We threw out an idea about changing up the format a little now that we've done 100 episodes.
But just a little, because we don't want to mess with y'all.
Just tweaking it a little. So we'll still pitch a game, but we'll pitch different parts of the game idea.
Right. So the idea is because we kind of already do this. Like the games I bring are more story vibe related, and the Brings Isaac games, the games Isaac brings are more mechanic related.
Yep.
So we thought, and oftentimes we have to help each other with those parts. Like he has to help me with mechanics. I have to help him with sometimes.
Usually a name. I'm like, well, this is a game about jumping and here's the twist,
right.
but that's all I got.
I don't know who the guy is, and I don't know why we're doing it, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So we thought, what if we just brought those elements to the table here, the imaginary table, because there is no room for a table in our very fancy podcast studio.
No, absolutely not.
And I will pitch a vibe, and he will pitch the mechanics, and we'll have to work together to come up with the game idea based on those 2 things.
All right. And in the interim, in between giving this idea, pitching this idea, and now I've seen several potential flaws, and we'll see if we run into them.
You've come up with flaws?
Well, that's me. I'm a very critical thinker.
Okay. Do you want to say the flaws? Or do you think that's going to jinx it? What do you
I think that's going to jinx it. So if you hear me go, oh, then I'm realizing that we immediately ran into it.
I want you to tell us, because this is a game. This is game design. This is podcast design. So we got to talk through it. Oh. So not right now, but if they happen, I want you to explain that you foresaw this as a potential issue.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go with vibe then.
Yeah. Tell me the vibe.
I will say it came from a game I was trying to make before I remembered we were actually doing something different.
Oh.
I was thinking movie theater, cozy game, popcorn being a major element.
Okay. All right. This could work. The mechanics that I came up with are I came up with a stealth game. Okay. So the mechanic is, you move around. You have the ability to basically be undetectable. Okay. And while I was coming up with mechanics, I gave ideas of various themes and stuff it could represent you diving underwater. I was kind of imagining in Link's Awakening, when you're swimming, you have the ability to duck underwater and you just become the shadow. Mm-hmm. I was thinking that's one way it could be represented. It could just be your characters walking around and you can straight up go invisible, where basically, yeah. Okay. You can navigate majority of the levels. You have the ability in most of the areas to just be undetectable or whatever. But certain actions, the actions that you need to do to progress, would require you to be visible in some way.
Okay. So it's turning visible and invisible at the appropriate times.
Yes. And the proposed, or while I was building this out, I was thinking I'm getting distracted by the cat who's trying to get into our studio.
Cat really wants to be part of it.
He was sleeping.
Yep.
Perfectly fine before we came downstairs, but I guess he heard us get into this closet and he was like, well, it's time to meow. So it's distracting me, so I'm losing my train of thought whenever he does a thing. I don't even know if you can hear it, listener.
No, I don't think you can.
Oh, man. All right. I was talking about...
Sorry, the cat was also distracting me. You were talking about, basically just the summary of you can turn it on and off for different puzzle solving abilities, and you were going to say something about the theme that you were thinking through.
Oh, yeah. I figured that there would be like 2 effectively phases to the game loop. Like you would be deposited in a level, which would be like an interconnected series of rooms, kind of like Legend of Zelda dungeon. And the first phase would be like scouting it out, like using your stealth ability to kind of explore what's in every room, and then figuring out like, okay, in this room, there's these 2 enemies. I can attack them, but then I can attack one of them, but the other one will see me. That will trigger some alarm, and then that's not good. So then I have to figure out like, how do I distract this one enemy to come to a different area so I can fight it? That was just like an example of like using the stealth phase, like using your stealth ability to like scout out and like then have to execute something visibly. So while it doesn't exactly fit my initial vision, the vibe there of like movie theater popcorn base, right? You use these mechanics to sneak into movie theaters.
Right.
So, like, you're not battling enemies. You are sneaking past the, what, docents? No, that's museums.
Like,
what's
ushers, I guess?
Ushers, yeah. You have to, like, sneak through the lobby, figure out, like, the path through the lobby, and, like, how to get to your seat or a seat without being spotted, and then, like, get through the movie. And the popcorn theme is maybe, like, you could have to get popcorn as well, and then also sneak in. Or maybe, like, popcorn could be one of the distraction techniques. Like if you've got popcorn, you can like toss it on the ground.
Maybe like, wait, what if popcorn is like a health mechanic? Like you need to eat popcorn to like keep moving forward, but when you eat it, you become visible because it's crunchy.
Okay.
So you have to like time your eating specifically so that you're not messing up.
Okay, yeah, you can't just like eat popcorn in the middle of big air quotes combat.
Yeah. Which is different than a lot of games where you usually can, well, not always, but sometimes.
A lot of games like to try, like, a big part of, like, Dark Souls is, and Monster Hunter is, there is a specific, like, time cost
to eating
and stuff. So, like, you can't really do it in the middle of battle. You have to, like, space yourself away from the enemy and find an opening where you have enough of, like, 2 seconds to like drink the potion. Sometimes the health bar takes time to fill up in addition to that. And so this is just kind of an extension of that kind of concept where like you have to find a place where you are hidden to crunch on your popcorn that you've collected to get your health back. I also like the idea of there being an animation where like when you get hit or discovered or something, like whatever the health represents, the popcorn scatters off of you. Like you just like explode into like funny. Popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like
all on the ground around you.
That reminds me of Pizza Tower. Because I think when you get damaged, don't you like lose
all
the
ingredients?
Toppings?
Yeah. All the like little mushrooms and pineapples and stuff that you've collected just spoop off of you.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to do this again.
You don't want to do this again?
No.
Why not? You didn't like it?
I mean, I think like it's true that that's what we both bring to the table, but I do feel like I'm more interested in hearing your like underwater sneak game, and I'm more interested in hearing my like popcorn management game. I just don't think. I don't know. I think it'd be more fun to keep doing it the regular way, but I'm always up for trying something new.
All right.
And I think it's fun too because like I don't know what your game's going to be, and you don't know what my game's going to be, and I know we still don't know, but we already do collaborative game design in the rapid fire round, so. It felt too similar to the rapid fire round, I think.
Oh, that's true. That's fair.
But it was fun. I'm glad we tried it.
Was it that fun if you don't want to ever do it again?
Maybe not. It was tolerable.
All right. So, our next segment is talking about game design concepts, right? We have a discussion. We have an open discussion. It's another collaborative segment here. Word on the street, little Looby Dooby, little man, the little Lewis man told me that you've been baited and switched recently. Do you want to tell me? Do you want to talk about that? And we'll see if we can expand that to a wider video game design conversation.
And I will say this game, I don't want to say this is bad. And I was on Steam looking at it, and it's like 94% positive. So like obviously a lot of people aren't bothered by what I was bothered by.
Okay.
But this is about the Cosmic Witch Sisterhood, which I've talked about a little bit on the podcast before. It's a very cool game where you play a witch who's been banished. And I guess like spoilers for this game if you
Oh,
I mean, no, the banishment isn't spoilers. Like that's like literally
okay.
like scene 1. But like, you know, going forward, spoilers for this game. So if you don't want to know, go skip to the rapid fire round. But
do they have any way of like knowing how far
you can
to
put
skip?
metadata in, and I just haven't done it because I'm confused. Well, it's new. It's new in like the podcast world.
Okay.
Like it's a new
but like
podcast
you can
thing.
chapters.
You can
add
but
chapters.
yeah, again, it's very new. So and it doesn't show up on
we could
every
be one
single
of the early adopters.
Yeah, it doesn't show up on every player, and it doesn't show up on every player the same way. So it's like a little bit strange.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you can just hit that skip forward 45 seconds until you hear the rapid fire round.
This beautiful world of new and advancing technology. Who could have ever guessed that we would have the ability to add chapters to podcasts?
I know, it's pretty crazy.
Honestly, feels like something we should have had in 1999. But
well, we didn't have podcasts in 1999, so there's that. Okay, so it's called the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood. You're a banished witch who is an oracle. And you
wait, sorry. Do you know the creator, like the publisher and developer?
Not off the top of my head, but
hold on, I'm gonna look it up for you.
Well, I have it on my phone right now.
Oh, okay. Because I feel like to give full credit.
Yeah, it's developed by Deconstruct Team, and its publisher is Devolver Digital.
Big publisher.
Yeah, yeah, it does read like an indie game, I will say, but.
Yeah, I would say Devolver it's kind of an oxymoron, but Devolver Digital, I would say, is like an indie publisher. Like they publish a lot of like indie games, and I could be wrong in my perception of that. So if anybody wants to tell me like, oh, actually Devolver Digital is like AAA exclusively, email us.
So yeah, so you create a tarot deck in the game, and it's pretty fun. I think they did a really good job designing that element where like constructing the cards, you can have fun and put your own spin on it. But there's also like gamified elements where you earn energy and stuff by what elements you choose to put in your cards. And, you know, they did a good job. It's very cool. However, I'm going to read you the description from Steam. It's immerse yourself in an enchanting narrative experience. Oh, sorry. Let me start over. Immerse yourself in an enchanting narrative experience as Fortuna, a fortune-telling witch condemned to exile on her asteroid home. Craft your own tarot deck, regain your freedom, and shape the fate of the Cosmic Witch Society. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. Do you think that sounds like you're going to have to run an election and memorize literal campaign points and strategize against actual opponents and decide how to use dirt on opponents during this political campaign? Would you think that that's what you're going to do in this game?
I wouldn't expect it to get that. I would expect at most some like highly abstracted political kind of system.
Right.
Like maybe you have some kind of like approval rating. Like I almost imagine No Man's Sky has like settlements that you can like make decisions on. And really it's like it pluses this thing and minuses this thing. And you're like, cool, I'm shaping the society.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I mean, I know in this description it says shape the, but like you're doing tarot readings, that could be shaping it. Like it's not very clear. And when you start playing the game, the gameplay loop is such that I did not expect this to happen. There is, I will say, like they start to bring up elections in the game kind of early because some of your witch friends like are running. But it's kind of a background thing. Like I assumed I'd have to vote at some point, right? Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But now it's just become almost tedious. Like, you're literally given, like, a campaign path that has, you have to pick different, like, your stance on, like, 6 or 7 different issues. You have to, like, think about how those match up to your opponent's issues. You have to talk to different sectors of witches depending on how much they are for or against you. You have to like, it's just a lot. It's a lot of actual brain work going into this. And I didn't expect it. But anyway, so I kind of feel a little bit like baited, as Isaac said, baited and switched, because the current gameplay loop was more like you're learning your power, you're reading cards for different people who visit you, and you're trying to like, I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of it is trying to shape like which coven things, because a lot of things are happening within the coven, and the coven's the one that banished you. So like that's like the main thing. But you also like summoned a behemoth, and the behemoth thing was interesting. And I just kind of assumed you would be there until you like left. Like I thought the end of the game was going to be leaving banishment
and being reintegrated. I mean, if you're getting voted.
Yeah, well then you would, right, if you're voted into office. But I didn't think that was how it was going to go. And it's just so in the weeds. Like if it was like a little less specific, it would be better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if it was more abstracted, like I was saying earlier, like the expectation of like it's got the tarot gameplay loop. You weren't expecting it to have like a second or expand the gameplay loop so far beyond like the initial scope, because it's still part of the same core gameplay loop of like you have a day and you have like 8 things you can do per day.
Yeah, like people come to visit. I don't know how many things you can do per day. I think it depends on the things.
It's like energy based or something.
Yeah, and like, people come to visit and you talk to them and you learn more things and you earn energy and you talk to your behemoth and you make cards, and it's like, you know, that's the gameplay loop. And now it's like, okay, like people come to report on your campaign progress and you have like charts to look at and you don't have time to make cards, and it's like, why did I even run? I don't know if it was a choice not to run. I think they make you run. I don't think they
I would assume if they have this much in the game,
they
have it optional. So I have a question. You said you looked at the reviews and they were like very positive. Did any of them like call out this bait and switch?
This one kind of is. It's like, I really wanted to like this game. They said it had me going for 4/5 of it, but taking a stance in campaigning, they said they liked that. And then I guess the final act was bad, but I don't want to read further because I don't want to know what the final act is. But I mean,
interesting.
That's a negative review. So, but they did like this person says this game genuinely helped me recheck my outlook on life in certain situations. Okay. I mean, that's cool.
Games are powerful.
They are. And like I said, I'm not saying this is a bad game at all. I just feel like I wish they had told me that it was going to have this in it. Okay, this one, if they had sold the game like this is actually a perfect summary. I'm just going to read this one more review. A political thriller with space witches. If they had said that, I would not feel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you had that tagline.
Because really, that's what it is when you really get down to it. I mean, you're floating on an asteroid. It is a political thriller because the whole crux of it is that she was banished by the witch coven leader. The coven leader dies, and like things open up. So like, yeah, a political thriller, witches in space. That's the game. And then the other thing is kind of this question of like, is this ever okay? Like, I don't know. The way I described it to you was like, should you actually have to do math in a game? Or should it be always abstracted math? Like, I don't want to have to sit down and do a Pythagorean theorem to build something in Tears of the Kingdom. Like, that's how this feels. Like, the fact that I actually have to know people's political stances and remember them and, like, pick choices based on those stances feels, like, rude.
So I will say in that regard, like a memory. So first of all, we've talked about edutainment games a lot. And in an edutainment game, yes, do Pythagorean theorem.
Well, yeah, but that's
different. That's not what you're talking about here. There needs to be, or there doesn't need to be. It depends on whether you're like trying to be a cozy game or something. Like a cozy game generally won't care that much about skill expression, and it will.
But Coffee Talk also like had a memory element that I was mad. Like a lot of cozy games have memory elements that have messed me up. Like Coffee Talk, because I take long breaks between games. That's just me. And I remember Coffee Talk, there was a situation where I couldn't look at the menu to make a drink, but I hadn't played in like 3 weeks. And so I didn't remember what the drink was. And so I like lost that section.
Oh.
So like that was terrible. And then with Oxenfree, I can never finish Oxenfree because it's a game, spoilers for Oxenfree, it's a game where you have to replay things all the time, but I would never remember the choices I made before. So I keep playing the same game basically because I can't remember. And so it's like, and that I would consider a cozy game. So it's just like, this keeps happening to me where it's like, I don't want to have to remember things this hard for a game. I don't have to take notes, but I feel like I have to take notes. Anyway, that maybe is just me, but Those are the two game design takeaways I took away from this experience.
So I think that many games don't necessarily require, but notes help. I think a lot of games will give you like an encyclopedia kind of pause menu. Let me look up like how the game works again features, but there is some level of.
But I think if it's a cozy game, if it's supposed to be easy, not easy, but if it's supposed to be like relaxing, you shouldn't have to take notes. That's my.
No, that's yeah. I agree with that, and maybe I'm being too prescriptive or too narrow in my view of a cozy game. Maybe I'm thinking too casual for cozy games, because games can be cozy and still like require something.
Yeah.
Like where I'm thinking about this from is I'm going to go back to something that I talk about all the time, that chart.
Yes, yeah.
That line goes up of player skill expression versus difficulty of game, or like player skill difficulty of game, and it should pretty much match 1-to-1. The game should get more difficult as the player's skill goes up. And there are kinds of games where it is very hard to do that. Like if it is a mostly dialogue based game, what can you do to what skill do you want the player to be expressing? Memory is like one of the easy ones.
But
their note-taking ability is like an easy one.
Okay, here's the thing I need then, because I guess when I play video games, I want to use a different part of my brain. Mm-hmm. I feel like I use my memory and my calculations and my like analytical brain all day long, like for work and even for my hobby, which if those of you who don't know or remember, it's dollhouse miniatures. I have to do a lot of math actually for that. Yeah. So when I play video games, it's more of like, it's a different part of my brain. It's the like punch and run part of my brain. And I try to actually actively turn off the rest of my brain, because that's how I overthink choices in video games. And I don't want to. I want to just like keep going. And so it's frustrating when I feel like I'm required to treat a video game like a job. But if they want me to take notes, they need to tell me. They need to say like, hey, like there needs to be a screen that says like, we recommend taking quick notes about your actions, or like having a piece of paper nearby so you can, or screenshotting or etc. Like, I think that needs to be said explicitly, because I just, it's hard. It's very hard for me. I don't want to have to remember on my time off.
So I have an interesting question that is a decades old debate. And I'm going to sneakily get your opinion on it. Hypothetical situation. You are playing Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, like one of those games. You talk to an NPC. They give you a quest.
Yeah.
There are two options. Like, which one is your preferred option? It puts a marker on your map, and you can follow a compass, and you can go directly to where they just told you to do the quest. Or they say, well, if you go down the road and then take a left at the split tree and then travel.
I think we could do more about maps.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do maps next time.
Okay, we'll do maps next time.
But yeah, as far as like bait and switch, I'm just saying game design wise.
Yeah, let's go back to the bait and switch.
I'm just going to wrap it up, okay? Game design wise, you need to make it clear in your description for your game and your trailer and all that stuff what the main gameplay loop is going to be and what that will include.
Yes.
And if you think that this game is going to be hard for people to remember things, or you're going to give them a lot of details that they have to know, please provide something to help. I will say in Cosmic Witch, they're doing a pretty good job at like giving you access to like, you can like go read about the policies if you forget. But it's just like a lot of work. That's all. Like, so they are telling you like, you don't have to literally memorize everything, but you do have to reference it a lot. So it's helpful if you can memorize it or like write it down, you know. I think I took a screenshot.
Oh, you took a screenshot. So I was about to ask, like, when a policy related decision comes up, like when someone asks you, like, I don't know how exactly it comes up, but in a moment where you would have to reference either somebody else's policy or your own policy based on memory, do you have the option of within the game opening up some menu, or is it like you have to say yes or no right now, and you either go to the Switch menu and go look at your screenshots.
I don't think they do, because I remember there was one time where I was trying to make a decision. And I went over because they have it like they have like basically a split screen for the politics stuff. So you have like your information on one side and your like discussion on the other. But once you start talking, you can't access, like I can't click through that. So I was like trying to click on something and it wouldn't let me.
Okay.
So like they're trying, but it's hard.
My thesis statement here, my wrapping it all up, is if you do have stuff like that, make it so that you can
access it anytime.
Yeah, make it so that if a dialogue box comes up and you have to give a response in the game, make a little button, press Y to open the portfolio.
Right.
And then I can, or encyclopedia or whatever, and then I can quickly, and then the skill there is kind of like knowing what specifically is relevant. Like sometimes it'll be obvious, like, oh, you need to look up Dahlia's policy, but maybe there's...
Well, and also like what, right now, I mean, there's a lot of cool decisions to be made in the election. You have to like, there's a spooky owl who's going to sabotage one of your opponents for you.
Ooh.
But you have to pick who, so there's lots of like fun stuff that you don't really have to like memorize stuff for. So yeah, I don't know, but maybe I'm just being picky. I do love the game. I would recommend it. Just know that you're going to have to do an election. Just know that for 32 cycles, which basically means 32 in-game days.
Wow. All right, time for our marquee segment. I'm going to keep saying marquee segment. That's my new phrase.
Well, it is the rapid fire round, which means we're going to generate 3 random words. We're going to come up with a game idea based on those 3 words, and we only have 5 minutes to do so. Are you ready with the timer?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, ready, steady, go.
INN, which we've already had before. Paradox and food.
Paradox is an interesting word.
Paradox is interesting.
And
here.
in food, it's like, okay, bed and breakfast, tavern, you can do a lot with that. Mm-hmm. Paradox? Okay.
What is a paradox? Because I'm not...
So a paradox
like things that can't be true at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, basically 2 things that can't be true at the same time, which you don't have to... I feel like people will accept many things as a paradox, even if it's not like strictly like there are certain things that I think that most people would
like the grandfather
recognize.
Paradox.
Well, that is a paradox.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, were you sorry?
I'm just saying like you don't have to necessarily be actually a paradox, but I think that you could satisfy like an understandable meaning of the phrase. Like if we say set our inn at the end of time or something, that is not exactly a paradox.
I'd want more of a paradox.
You'd want more of a paradox?
We're wasting time. Let's get into this.
All right.
Food. What's a food paradox? No? Okay. A
paradox is like a logic thing.
Yeah.
Usually.
What are like famous paradoxes? Like
I mean the grandfather's paradox where if you go back in time.
Oh, okay. You're a chef you're a chef at an inn and you have a time machine. And you learn recipes from the past, but your recipes are grandfather paradox recipes because, like, it's like a loop. There's like a loop.
Well, you would have to teach the recipes to the past in order for it to be a grandfather paradox.
Yeah, so then you have to maintain the loop. So it's kind of like, I guess, Oxenfree in that way. I don't know.
What's the gameplay expression of that?
I don't know. Okay, well, you go then because we got to wrap up.
Okay. Trying to think of other paradoxes.
I mean, if you want it to be like at the end of the world, we can stretch it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, We
gotta hurry up.
We don't got to hurry up.
We've
got 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
That's not
left.
a lot. Usually we have naming it by now. Come on.
It's just paradox is such a difficult thing to really...
I mean, I think... Okay, so while you look up paradox, I'm going to talk about gameplay. I mean, it's at an inn and it says food. I think you're a chef at like a bed and breakfast. I think that's like the easiest way to go. We just have to work paradox into that. So it's like you're managing bed and breakfast. You have bed and breakfast guests. They have different desires for their breakfast. Like, does that work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then now we have to add the paradox in.
I mean, we could just make it like a thematic thing. Like it is just because paradox can also, you can kind of just say weird. Like, oh, we have weird characters. We have weird setting.
Oh, it does absurd or self-contradictory statement. Contradiction. I mean, maybe it's that like maybe you just like serve weird food.
Serve weird food to weird customers, and it's not a paradox, but like I think people will
dinner.
get that that paradox is more of a vibe word in this case.
And I like the idea that you're like on the edge. I mean, probably because we were talking about cosmic sisterhood, but you're like on a different planet or like on an asteroid or something, and that's how you get the weirdest guests. And
yeah, like
breakfast for dinner is a paradox, so I think that's good.
That's true.
Ooh, I mean, it is kind of, not really.
That's what it is. You're a bed and breakfast that only serves
dinner. Yes.
Wow.
Okay. It's called dinner.
Why the emphasis on din?
Because it's an inn.
Oh my God. No. Okay, maybe. No, we can't. No.
The inn at the end of the world.
The end of the world. No. We've got 30 seconds left. Don't you worry.
I was peeking at the time.
She be peeking. All right. We've got 20 seconds left now.
Okay.
And I'm just
food. What's up, chef? What's on the menu, chef?
No.
Into the unknown.
Oh, yes, into the unknown.
Okay. I like dinner.
No. I think INN to the unknown can work. Like if you're at the edge of time and space, and
it's a close to the. I don't know. There's a song in Frozen 2 that people...
We just connected our
Yeah, what
phones.
does that mean?
Wow.
Both our phones just said connected. It's like, for what?
All right. I'm going to start the timer. It started.
Okay. Single, trait, decrease.
Okay. Trait is an easy one, but we're not allowed to do...
No, you're allowed. We can do it.
We're not allowed to.
I'll sit back.
Decrease,
I won't do it.
Single trait, decrease. Oh, man.
Just do it. Just make it. Just do it.
Okay. Do it. I'll make it easy. It's about flowers.
Okay. Yes.
It's about weeds, and you are, undesirable plants, and you are using evolution and genetics over time to breed out undesirable
traits?
big quotes traits of these plants to make them more marketable or nice. I don't know. You're decreasing the desirable trait. Maybe I don't know. I don't keep track of. I'm sure it's different in some core ways.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I think the interesting thing is decrease, because I feel like so it's like, but maybe it's like making the most simple. Like you get like something that's like really like complex, and you like decrease it down to like the simplest flower. Like you have one that's like 12 colors and has like all different stripes and spots, and you have to just get it to be orange.
But I think people would want the 12 colors. Like what I'm thinking of is like mint has in real world has a bad rap of it's impossible to kill. If some mint gets in your yard, it takes over your yard.
We love it, actually.
If you can breed out, if you can genetically decrease that trait of...
Okay, so here's how I'm going to take it. I think instead of just one kind of plant, it is going to be more garden management.
Oh, okay, I was assuming that like you would have multiple plants that you are like working on. It seemed like it was specific,
like you're going to do like
making
a flower,
more desirable,
like multiple flowers. But no, I think, well, I guess for me, instead of making them more desirable for people to like purchase or whatever, it's like your garden, like you're managing a garden.
Okay.
And then that, like, you're breeding things out of the garden.
Okay.
Just because of the sound, that's why.
Sorry. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. And the name is?
Weeding it out. We got the
weeds. Weeding it out, colon, a genetic...
garden game.
Weeding it out, colon, a genetic garden.
Okay.
Boom. There we go. 2 minutes and 7 seconds
did
left on the
it.
clock.
See, that's what I'm saying. We're usually like right in the name.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay. All right. Well, it's time for the final one of this episode.
Oh, I'm starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Floor. Mirror. IEYE.
Floor, mirror. Floor, mirror. Mirror.
The eye is making me think of like the eyes in Pizza Tower that you have to like jump through.
Oh, the secret eyes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could be like a spooky, weird. I picture this as weird. Like there's mirrors and there's eyes and it's weird.
Okay. And the floor part? It's maybe it's like a tower or dungeon with multiple floors, and that's how like progression is tracked. Like floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, floor -1, floor -2. Ooh, we get to the negatives. Ooh. You're going down into the basement.
I like that. Yeah, negative
there
floors.
We go.
And then I think maybe like mirrors could be, I mean, this is not new, but like.
Wait.
Okay.
There are mirrors throughout the dungeon, and you can enter them, but they take you to the negative version of the floor you're on. So you have to.
Yes.
So you're on floor 5.
And you go to -5 through the mirrors.
And they're connected in different ways.
Oh,
so
I like
then
this.
you might have to go to you go to floor -4 to get, or floor -6 in order to get to the +6's version, because there's no way to go from 5 to 6, but there is a way to go from -5 to -6.
And then we have to have we have to work eye into it. Is there like an eyeball enemy? Is it like?
Yeah, I'm thinking, because all right, mirrors and eyes are very heavily related. I could see like an eye based enemy, like maybe the final boss.
Yeah, but it will like show up sometimes. Like it just kind of like opens in like a dungeon. Like it's watching you.
Oh, like always in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Like
okay.
It's always in the background, and like you finally confront him, and like, yeah, I think that's why his tower is filled with mirrors, is because he is himself like an eye, very visual based, mirrors, eyes linked together. Yeah. Okay. And it's called Islevania.
No.
Castle.
I know, it's
Castlevania.
Did you make Castlevania without me knowing?
No, I've never seen a Castlevania game with the mirror gimmick, but I have seen a Castlevania game where the first half of the game is the above ground castle.
Okay.
And the second half of the game is literally the same castle, but upside down underground.
Okay.
So, like, in a way, yes, we made Castlevania, but we did it in in my opinion, slightly more interesting way.
Okay. Well, then we got to name it, because my computer is going to die soon.
We're not plugged in?
No, we're not.
Why plug in? Okay. All right. Well, we've got 2 timers now.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, like, the name, the genre, I think we've basically decided on Metroidvania,
yeah.
which it doesn't need to. They don't have a naming convention.
No, so let's just do something cool, like we spell castle backwards.
Castle backward. No.
What is that? No, we're not allowed. It would be Eltsac.
Rirrom Estlac.
Rirrom Estlac.
Yes, actually, yes. Because if you hold it up to a mirror, right, it would say Mirror Castle.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, Rirrom Estlac.
I guess it would be Eltsac Rirrom, right? If it was Mirror Castle, it'd be Eltsac Rirrom.
Yes.
Folks, he's spelling it out in front of his face with his fingies just to make sure.
Yes. It would be Rirrom Estlac.
No, because it's Mirror Castle, right? Is what we're.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'd be Eltsac Rirrom. If it was backwards. So the castle.
Wait. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I've been convinced.
Okay. Eltsac Rirrom.
All right.
Or Rirrom Estlac. There's 2 versions. There's red and blue, so we can sell both.
Oh, Castlevania has also done that.
Oh,
wait,
really?
I think Castlevania is one of the games that has had like 2 Game Boy versions with slight differences. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of like a Metroid game.
Well, either way.
Castlevania. Anyways, let's wrap this up.
The
computer's dying.
The computer's dying. The cat's screaming. It's time to go. So if you liked this podcast, please give us a rating and review on iTunes or Spotify, or you can also leave comments on Spotify. That would be so cool. You can email us, makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on social media at makethatgamepod. You can follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/makethatgame. We are going live on August 24th.
11:30 a.m.
11:30 a.m. Eastern, and it will be really fun. We don't know exactly what we're streaming, but we will be streaming.
It's Claire's time to play a game.
It's my time to play a game, my time to shine. You can also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/@makethatgame. And if you heard a game today that you think needs to exist right now to play, the only way you're going to play it is if you get out there and make that game.